прямо тут у студії.
So we are to continue, and right now in our studio we have Oleksandr Motuzyanyk, the spokesperson of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, who will tell us about the current situation on the front lines. You're welcome, Oleksandr. Thank you. Dear friends, welcome everybody. I'd like to share with you information about Russian military aggression in Ukraine as of today, 8th of April. The Russian Federation continues its wide-scale armed aggression against Ukraine. Currently, the main efforts of the Russian commanders have been focused on creating an assault group, offensive group in the eastern area of operations. The purpose of their offensive is taking full control over the territories of Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts. The enemy continues using rocket strikes against military and civilian facilities, civilian objects across Ukraine. In occupied territories, repressions continue against local population and attempts to create local occupational authorities. About the current operational situation, the enemy has been rearranging, regrouping their troops, trying to restore their capacity to create a group for offensive action towards in Donetsk direction. In particular, in certain areas, units have been brought which have been withdrawn from Polisia and Siversk areas of operation. The enemy continues to create and transport to Ukraine additional reserves. In order to take control of key locations in Donetsk Oblast, the enemy runs combat actions supported by artillery and aviation. Their rocket strikes and bombing of civilian and military facilities in Donetsk Oblast, where 3 Sukhoi 24M bombers of Russians have been involved. Also, the aggressor continues its attempts to improve their tactical situation in southern Bug area of operations and strengthening on the administrative boundaries of Kherson Oblast. In Volyn direction, there is still a probability of Belarusian armed forces involvement in armed aggression against Ukraine. Certain units continue to implement their assignments for covering Ukraine-Belarus border. Also, there is still high probability of rocket and aviation strikes against Ukraine from the territory of the Republic of Belarus. In Polisia and Siversk areas of operations, the enemy has been finishing regrouping their forces and tries to restore capacity of their units from Central District, Armies 2 and 41 and 90th Tank Brigade in certain parts of Bryansk and Kursk oblasts. They continue moving units from Eastern Military District from the territory of the Republic of Belarus to Russian Federation. Some units of Russian armed forces which have been withdrawn from Polisia areas of operation are now located in the Republic of Belarus. We expect that some units of Eastern Military District will be moved to Belgorod Oblast after they restore their battle capacity. At the same time, the enemy still keeps part of their forces in the Republic of Belarus for some demonstrative actions. In Slobozhanщина area, enemy's troops, particularly those from 6th and 20th armies and tank army of the Western Military District and Northern Fleet, continue, unfortunately, shelling of the city of Kharkiv. At the same time, they continue regrouping their forces to increase their strength in the Izum area. And the enemy is improving their communications to that end. In Donetsk direction, the enemy continues mass-scale shelling of positions held by Ukrainian troops, as well as towns and villages of Donbass, and assault actions continue along most of the front line. The enemy's key efforts have been focused on taking control of Rubizhne, Nizhne Popasna, and Novobakhmutivka, as well as taking full control of Mariupol and taking the line between Vuhledar and Mariinka. And to that end, the enemy has been making efforts to restore their capacity and replenish their ammo as well as fuel and lubricants. During the day in Donetsk area, and the total, Ukrainian defenders have stopped 7 enemy's attacks, destroyed 4 tanks, 2 artillery systems, 10 armored vehicles, and 11 cars and trucks of the enemy. The aviation of Ukrainian air forces has hit the enemy's concentration, places of enemy's concentration. In Tavria and southern Bug operation areas, the enemy has focused main efforts on restoring their battle capacity, replenishing their ammo, as well as fortifying their positions. In some directions, occupational forces try to improve their tactical situation, and they have been shelling positions held by Ukrainian troops. Around Novokakhovka, they take actions to fortify their positions in previously taken parts. In temporarily occupied territories, Federal National Guard of Russia has been carrying out filtration and counterintelligence measures. In Black Sea and Sea of Azov areas of operations, groups of enemy's ships in Black Sea and Sea of Azov implement tasks to isolate combat areas, doing reconnaissance, as well as fire support and logistical support of troops in Primorsk area of operations. About illegal activities of Russian occupiers. The enemy continues using terror tactics against Ukrainians, abduction, planting mines, marauder activities, blocking evacuation routes, forced mobilization of males in occupied locations. Russian troops have been making rocket and artillery strikes and aviation strikes against residential buildings in such locations as Kharkiv, Dnipropetrovsk, and Luhansk Oblast, and infrastructural facilities in the cities of Mykolaiv, Barvinkovo, and urban-type settlement Vlasacheva. The Russian occupational regime has been actively creating so-called local authorities in temporarily occupied locations in Zaporizhia and Kherson Oblast. To that extent, Russian agencies try to force local authorities for cooperation. They prevent local civilians from evacuation, destroying railways on the routes where evacuation trains move from cities. The enemy has also been blocking supplies of humanitarian aid to those temporarily occupied locations from territories controlled by Ukrainian government. And finally, the total battle losses, combat losses of the occupiers since 24th of February to 8th of April 2022. So the approximate numbers are as follows. Personnel, about 19,000 people, 700 tanks, 1,899 armored fighting vehicles, 333 artillery systems, 108 multiple launch rocket systems, 55 air defense systems, 150 aircraft and 135 helicopters, 1,361 cars and trucks, 7 ships and boats, 76 tanks with fuel and lubricants, tactical level UAVs, 112 UAVs, 25 special vehicles, and tactical and operational mobile rocket launch systems, 4 of those. That's it. Thank you for attention. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to heroes. Thank you, Oleksandr, for this information. Dear journalists, you're welcome to monitor our announcements in our Telegram channel, in Facebook and Twitter. Right now, we have been developing our further schedule. Thank you for being with us, and many thanks to Skyflow